What is going on, guys? It is Matt with MSR Performance. I am finally getting to my video on my turbo 9th gen. This is a 100% budget build project. Everything is eBay parts minus fuel. I wanted to try to save as much money as I could, just to go ahead and kind of give you an idea of what this build cost me with injectors and everything. We're looking at about $2,500. I'm just going to kind of let y'all kind of see what's up with the motor. Like I said, I bought a 9th gen eBay turbo kit. It is a eBay manifold, eBay turbo, eBay wastegate. All the intercooler piping is just universal intercooler piping that came with the kit. Like I said, except for fuel, I have a Deutschwerks DW300C fuel pump, Deutschwerks 1000cc injectors, Acuity fuel rail, which doesn't do much, but have a little bit of money invested in electronics. Obviously, I have Honda. I have the Skunk 2 4-bar map sensor. I wired up an IAT sensor, post intercooler, but everything else is eBay. So I just kind of wanted to give y'all a rough idea of how I did this. Of course, obviously, if you decide to go this route, you are more than welcome to reach out. I will answer questions, kind of give you as much of a walkthrough as I can. I try to make this as minimal fab and custom work as possible, so that way I felt like anyone could accomplish this if this is the route you want to go. Sorry, I'm sweating. It's a wonderful 95-degree day in Texas. I did have to pull out a welder a few times, and I had to get a few things welded at a shop. What welding I did was done with an $80 welding machine that I got from Harbor Freight that I've been using for miscellaneous projects for a while. So I use that for minimal things. The few things that I felt like required a little bit better job, I had a buddy of mine do it, make sure it was a little bit more stable and rigid and wouldn't just fall apart on me. But so I'll just kind of get into it, give you a little walkthrough of what we did and how we did it. This is street tuned, nothing fancy. Didn't try to hunt down a dyno, nothing like that. I'm street tuned by a local guy, about 45 minutes from me. He's not big on any of the 9th gen pages or anything like that. I actually took a shot with him, and he was very patient and good with me. He's never actually tuned a turbo 9th gen, so but I feel like he did a pretty good job given the circumstances. Like I said, he was very patient with me. The whole tuning process from start to finish, me and him probably took about 3 months, and that was with pretty quick responses. He worked through a lot of the mechanical failures that I had, a lot of exhaust leaks, boost leaks, things like that. So I kind of want to go ahead and give you some disclosures. But first of all, this is not something that you need to tackle if you have no mechanical ability past your general maintenance. You do need to have a general understanding of how a turbo kit functions and works, because there is no instructions for this. I kind of used the combination of just some of the Mach Speed tutorials and the full race kit that used to be out there, and PRL, and then I just kind of used, like I said, just general concept of a turbo to kind of put things together, make sure I routed pipes correctly, went to my hot side and cold side correctly. So, I mean, if you have a general understanding of those kind of things, then you should be fine. Like I said, I tried to keep this as minimal as possible and user-friendly as possible. The only thing that I welded myself, I built a very, very slim design crash bar. Not even really a crash bar. It probably wouldn't take much of a hit, but it's very, very slim to make sure I had plenty of room to mount the intercooler where I wanted it. I did not use a tube bender or anything. Like I said, this is something that you could do yourself, or just pop off at an exhaust shop and say, hey, you know, can y'all build this for me real quick? And it probably wouldn't cost you much. I just use, can't remember what it's called. It's like 12 gauge black piping or something. It's like threaded pipe that you get at Lowe's. It's just straight steel, so that way it would be easy for me to weld and should hold. I just cut the threaded ends off and met a 45 to a 45 and made it work. You know, is this car perfect? Absolutely not. Does everything function and work so far? I have not had any issues. So this is not something that you're going to pull up to a car show and expect to win trophies for, but it is fast and it's fun for what it is. So I did build my downpipe, and I will post pictures at some point in the YouTube video. I'll make sure you see that. I'm gonna assume I'm gonna post it when I'm talking about it, but the downpipe I had to kind of make work, and I'll try to show that the best I can. It's hard to really show you even underneath the car how I built the downpipe, so pictures are gonna be the best way to do it. The eBay Turbo came with a 5-bolt turbo manifold design for the exhaust side. So one of the things that I did buy to kind of give me a little bit more wiggle room with my maneuverability with my exhaust and stuff, I bought a 5-bolt to V-band adapter. Just bought a cheap one. I did use ARP hardware for that, but I just used the gasket and everything that came with it. That way I could use the V-band to be able to kind of tilt my exhaust up and down until I found where I wanted it. So in that sense, I did buy, it's a 5-bolt to a 3-inch V-band. And then I was full bolt-on before this. So I used my RV6 downpipe. I cut it at the actual manifold and cut the RV6 manifold at each weld to where it gave me like 3 different pieces of 2.5-inch exhaust pipe. And I kind of twisted it and turned those and tacked those up to a 3 to 2.5-inch 90 degree reducer to build my downpipe. Like I said, I did this to cut as many corners as I could in expenses. So obviously if you don't have a downpipe, or if you don't want to cut your downpipe, you don't have to. It's just it's something that I did to make it work. I didn't have to buy exhaust parts. Literally the only exhaust pipe that I bought was I think a 2-foot section of 3-inch exhaust, and then I bought a 2.5-inch to 3-band, or 2.5 to 3-inch V-band connector to be able to connect my actual NVIDIA exhaust to the downpipe. As far as wastegate dump, I just bought a universal wastegate dump tube on eBay. I think it's like a straight to a 45, and it just happened to be the perfect little setup for me to do a wastegate dump out of the hood. Obviously, if you don't want to do a wastegate dump out of the hood, with this kit, I will say fabbing up a wastegate dump with the way that this manifold and stuff is set up would be a little bit more complicating, because the wastegate is side mounted, and I believe on the Mach Speed kits, the wastegate is on the top of the turbo manifold, so it kind of gives you that room to kind of turn it down and run the wastegate out that way. I think I can't remember the last time I looked at it. So you would have to do a little bit of fab work to do a wastegate dump, but I didn't care. I used every single pipe that came with the eBay Turbo kit for the intercooler. I had to kind of cut and trim a few of those to make those work. I know I said I bought everything from eBay. I will say the only thing that I did upgrade is the couplers that came with the eBay kit. They were absolute garbage. On top of that, I needed like some 90 degree couplers and some 45 degree couplers, because this is not a kit that is designed for this car. I mean, it is, but the piping is universal. So there are a lot of couplers. So you definitely want to make sure you have a boost leak tester. You are going to have to test for boost leaks quite a bit until you dial everything in, because there are so many failure points for boost leaks. So I bought name brand. They are Squirrely Performance, which is now a new brand. Squirrely is different, but I bought everything off of Map Performance. If you go to Map Performance and look for intercooler couplers, it will take you to the correct brand that I used. I bought all of their couplers and I also bought their clamps for the couplers as well. As far as intake, I didn't feel like, I mean, you don't have to have a MAF sensor, so I didn't care about just zip tying it and hanging up somewhere. So I maintained the MAF sensor, or the MAF sensor, on the intake. I had an old 3.5-inch short ram from years ago that I used, and I just cut it into a section to where I'd have that MAF sensor mount. And then I actually used a 45 degree just 3.5-inch intake pipe that I bought online, which I'll attach the link down for that too, and just put a Spectre air filter on it, and boom, there's my intake. So as far as, like I said, getting things welded and done at a shop, I had the downpipe welded, and I had the bung for the IAT sensor welded. I have a buddy that welded the downpipe. That cost me nothing. If you were to take it to a shop and have it done, if you were to have a shop fab your downpipe, I'm gonna assume it would not be very cheap. I used my welding machine like an overpriced glue gun and just tacked it together with my welding machine that I do have, and then had a buddy clean it up and actually weld it correctly. So I just put like 2 tacks at each section of my downpipe and then had it welded, and then I heat wrapped it. The only other like major thing that I had to do, well, I guess I can rewind a little bit. So also with this kit being from eBay, this turbo is much smaller. It is a 5260, I believe. I'll make sure when I post the link and everything, but I'm pretty sure it's a 5260 versus Mach speed's a 6062. So the turbo itself is a little bit smaller, which is kind of cool for 2 reasons. One, small turbos spoil quickly, very minimal lag. So you have kind of this almost like 1-to-1 ratio with horsepower to torque. I didn't say it at the beginning of the video, but I'll say it now. Like I said, street tuned. I am 330-ish the wheels and horsepower, and 315-ish, 320-ish torque. So pretty close to being torque and horsepower lined up as the same. Other cool thing is, like I said, I wanted to keep this as user-friendly of an install as possible. I did not drop my subframe. All of the kits that you order online, they require you to drop the subframe. There's 2 reasons why. One is just the user-friendly factor of being able to reach everything, get to everything, and everything actually fit. 2 is so you can drop the oil pan and tap into it for your oil drain. I did not have to drop my subframe for the same 2 reasons. They are just the opposite. So I was able to remove quite a few different brackets for like the stock intake and things, and I had my brother help me and kind of hold some hoses and stuff out of the way. I slid the turbo in from the back of the motor, or well, from the side going into the back, and I'll show you how I did that in just a second. Also, I went with the old school PRL way of doing the oil drain. I know that people will say it's not recommended. I haven't had problems with it yet. You know, obviously if you have the front of the car jacked up and then you go and turn it on while it's jacked up, your car's gonna smoke. You know, if you're parked on an incline, your car might smoke for a little bit. But as far as regular driving, I have not had issues as of this moment with the oil drain being tapped into the drain plug of the oil pan. So I'm going to show you some things that I did. Sorry, it's super bright outside, so I'm going to try to get this situated. So like I said, we have the eBay manifold that came with the kit. We have the wastegate is side mounted, and you're not going to be able to see it from here, but underneath this wastegate is where the exhaust bolts up to the turbo. I used a adapter for the oil pressure sensor so I could tie in my oil feed from the sensor to the top of the turbo. I have a boosted tap for my boost reference that comes over to the wastegate. Well, to the boost controller, to the wastegate. And you'll see right there, which is a pretty cool little deal. You just literally drill a hole into your coupler, and it comes with some seal rings, and the washers kind of make it airtight, and then that's where your turbo or your wastegate gets its boost reference. The turbo is a little bit smaller than the actual intercooler pipe, so I believe this is a 2¼ inch to a 2½ inch reducer coupler that I got from Squirrely. And then here comes your hot side pipe. Here's your wastegate. I tapped into the brake boost line for my wastegate reference. I mean my blow-off valve reference, sorry. MAF sensor, like I said, is part of the actual intake here. And then it's just a 45-degree, 3½ inch piece of pipe that goes to the actual turbo. Off of that, I wired up my IAT sensor. Like I said, I had this bung actually welded to this pipe. The pipe comes down and around, all the way around up top into my intercooler here, and then back up into the throttle body. Like I said, I had to kind of cut and trim. I think this piece here is cut and trimmed. A couple of them where I did trim them, I used the coupler to make up for the difference in distance. Thus that one's obviously trimmed into that 90-degree there. This is just all straight pipe here. And then, like I said, these are all pipes that came with it. I did not buy any additional pipes. There's a few more things that I still want to do. I really need to heat wrap some of my wiring harnesses and stuff back here. I haven't had any issues or anything yet, but my electric tape that was on them is pretty much melted. I heat wrapped this one since this one's closest to the turbo itself, because there's a couple heater core hoses and stuff that are touching it. That's kind of helped save that. I did do the catch can setup is down here. I do not have the battery up front. It's actually relocated with the DC5 kit. So my battery is actually in the front fender here. And then I have some remote terminals, so that way if I ever need to jump the car off, I don't take the whole front bumper off. So I bought DC5's kit. It's a really nice little kit. I just figured it would help eliminate any issues with the battery being in the way. And it actually worked out because, like I said, I was able to mount the catch can there. Like I said, 1000cc injectors. I do have an RBC manifold. I have the 1422 NGK spark plugs, and then there's my wastegate dump and everything. A few things that I did have to get that the kit did not have, because the kit comes with just a lot of pointless stuff. I'll back up so you can actually see the front of the car. I got, like I said, the 4-bar map sensor. I went ahead and got a Turbo Smart Boost controller, because the one that it came with was an in-cabin controller. I didn't see the need for that, so I did, and I also did not want a cheap boost controller potentially being a failure point. The wastegate spring that came with it was way too big. We had boost cut set for 12.5 psi at the beginning of tuning, and until I changed springs, I immediately would hit boost cut. So I actually got a Racetronic spring. It's a 6.2 pound spring, and then I turn the boost controller up. I'm hitting about 9, 10 at peak psi. So I'm I will say about 9 to 10 psi on that smaller turbo is what got me to the 330, 315 mark. But as far as the rest of it goes, I mean, it's simple once you actually do it, because it all is just the general concept of a turbo to begin with. You have your turbo, and then you have hot side, cold side piping, and you're done. Like I said, the most What took me the longest was the downpipe. And like, since I was kind of figuring out as I went, I would trim pieces of pipe and I would say, okay, I need a 45-degree coupler now. And because I was trying to cut corners and trying to not spend a lot of money, so I would just order things as I needed them versus just ordering just mass load of crap and then throwing it all together. Catch can, no. I mean, did I have to spend that kind of money on a catch can? Not really. I could have just vented the valve cover to atmosphere and been fine. I did upgrade the blow-off valve that came with the kit. It was super cheap filling. And when I say super cheap filling, like, I upgraded to an eBay blow-off valve that I found for 50 bucks. And that blow-off valve was 10 times better than the one that came with the kit. Like I said, I upgraded all the couplers. It comes with a lot of useless stuff. Additional fans, fuel filters, fuel pressure regulator, like things that I would not dare to put on my car that came from eBay. I know that I put an eBay turbo in the car. You know, will it last forever? Probably not. Has it done fine so far? Absolutely. But I'm not putting an eBay fuel pressure regulator on my car. Outside of that though, I mean, and this is it. I used the NVIDIA exhaust that I already had. Used the downpipe that I already had to make a new downpipe. Did I have to buy a battery relocate? No, I didn't. I could have probably mounted it where the blow-off valve, I mean, where the catch can is. I could have put it in the trunk. I could have done 100 different things with the battery, and not spent. I think that battery relocate alone was like $300 of the $2,500 that I spent on the turbo. So, you know, things like that, you don't have to buy. I know one thing people are always concerned about with eBay is, oh my gosh, the intercooler is not going to function properly. The intercooler is not going to work, blah, 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 blah. So far, the intercooler has actually been great. I maintain about 6 to 8 degrees above ambient. We'll go for a ride along in just a second so you can see that. I want to put the front bumper on. I took the cowl off the front bumper so you could actually see everything on the front of the car. There are still things that I'm slowly upgrading. Like I ran out of the nice clamps. So I still have some intake clamps on here. I'm not leaking from these parts, but they're just there. So I still have those. I still have one back there. I got new ones. I just have not put them on yet. Also, I have a couple couplers, like this coupler here behind the blow-off valve. It likes to pop off. I think that what's happening is since it's that kind of pillow ball looking coupler, it builds up too much pressure and it kind of pops itself off. I have a straight coupler that I ordered that I'm going to eventually put there. I have a whole nother car that I'm building, so I've been trying to kind of direct my time back and forth to them. I do not daily drive the night gen. I guess that's one thing I should disclose too. I did not care going into this how great it worked because I do not drive it. I have just a lowered setup on an 8th gen that I drive every day that's just bone stock, kept clean. And then I have this, and then I'm building a 350Z drift car for a friend, which y'all have seen the videos on that if you've been following my channel. But I mean, that's the gist of it. The kit is, it's not that hard. Like I said, if you do decide to get the kit and go this route, I will gladly walk you through. I will send you measurements, send you pictures, whatever you need. The only thing that I cannot get measurements of, that I regret not getting measurements of, is my downpipe. And the reason why I tell you I'm not getting measurements of it is because I'm not taking it off. It's not fun. Like I said, I did everything from the top of the car. I did not take the subframe off. You will need a second person, unless your arms are just super, super small. I'm not. I'm 6'4", 320 pounds, so I could not fit in tight spaces. So I just kind of want to show you too. So this is where the turbo came in at. I took the factory bracket off for the intake that's on here. I moved all these harnesses out of the way. Like all these are just kind of floating. So there's no hardened brackets. Moved the fuel line, I moved these hoses and I literally pushed the turbo in from here. I had the valve cover off to give me that extra little couple inches of room so my arm would fit through here. And then I just slid the turbo back. I already had the manifold on, slid it on by myself, or slid it on first, mounted the manifold, and then slid the turbo back, let it kind of drop down carefully, and then had my brother push the manifold up, or the turbo up from the bottom, had it meet the manifold, and boom, bolted it up while he was holding it, and that was it. So did not drop the subframe at all, which was so much nicer than, you know, everybody that's like, I'm not dropping the subframe 3 or 4 times, blah blah blah. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to make sure this could be done easily with hand tools, you know, at your house, and you not feel like you're going into some crazy project. If I could do this again, now that I've done it, I'd say install would probably take me a day, or just a good solid weekend. I could probably do the whole kit in. Now that I know exactly what to buy, I'm not wasting money anymore. That was another thing. Like I bought one fuel return kit that was a waste of money. It was kind of expensive. It did not work. That's why I ended up going into the oil pan. I bought the couplers one by one until it worked out. I bought 2 different wastegate dumps until they worked out. Went through 3 different wastegate springs, went through a few different V-band clamps, and then, you know, took me a little bit to get the downpipe and everything bolted up. But now that, like I said, now that if I could do it again, it would be much easier. The end goal is to eventually create a kit that's also a budget kit. I know that there's kits out there. I think it's Black Built Performance. He is about to drop a 9th gen budget kit. So that may be something you want to look into. You're not going to save as much money going that route. His kit's $3,000. That's without fuel. Or if his kit's the same as what it is for the HN, the kit's $3,000, and but that's without fuel and Honda and everything. If I did not already have Honda, then mine would have probably been about $3 grand. But that's with injectors, Honda, fuel pump, everything. So, but that's it. I mean, that's the gist of the kit. I am going to slap you on my head and put this bumper back on, and I'm gonna take you for a little ride along so you can kind of see what it's like. All right, guys, I hope this video is okay. Like I said, it's the middle of the day. It's the hottest part of the day. So the sun is shining and you can't really see my dash. I'm just gonna let you kind of hear some general driving, and I'll try to remove the camera to where you can kind of see like RPMs and all that. But so Honda, I just have an old phone of mine that keeps everything up. I have my boost gauge, AFR. I like to pay attention to the timing and stuff, make sure it stays where I had it originally in the tune, which I stay around 12 degrees of timing at watt. And I like to keep an eye on my intake temps. Right now I just cranked it up. It's 92 degrees outside and I haven't got into boost yet, and my intake temps are at 100. So I'm a little over ambient, obviously. But it's just because of the temperatures. So see, we're already starting to come down. 98. It's kind of fluctuating a little bit, but so yeah, wastegate dump is up there at the windshield. So it's definitely not a quiet car by any means. Let's see where we're at. Our coolant temp and everything is kind of where we want it. So I'm not gonna do a pull yet. I'm just gonna go do a little drive. When I do the pull, I'll move the camera to where you can see everything. That's just getting into boost a little bit. like I said, we'll get from just daily driving it, I see 6-7 psi all the time just getting up to speed. And I mean, it's just that little bitty turbo, it's just, it spoils so quickly. There's just no lag whatsoever. Let's see. So you'll see we maintain IATs pretty good, still at 100. It's bouncing back between that and 98 and 100. And like I said, ambient temp right now, according to the car, is 92. So I feel like for an eBay an eBay intercooler, it's doing the best it can. I don't have climbing temperatures, and I do not have, you know, inconsistent temperatures. But I'm gonna take you off my head now and move you to the dash to where you can kind of see RPMs and stuff a little bit better. And I'll do a little pull, and that'll pretty much be the video. You can see a little bit better now. You can see the tachometer. You can see how I have the hunt data and everything set up to where at least I have like my primary things in view. I'll probably eventually get gauges so I can see oil temps and water temps and stuff all the time. But for now, this does the job. So we're gonna come up to this turn. I'm gonna do a 40 roll, which is second gear. And just so you can see that. And remember, like I said, it's 92 degrees outside, so you'll get to see how it performs in the heat of the day. Sorry, you're going with my steering wheel. All right. So there you go. So it's a 40 roll in the heat of the day. So far, I think I have about 500 miles on the kit, 400 or 500. I try to keep up with it so I can just give people an idea of how long it's lasted. Like I said, I don't daily this car, so what miles I do have on it, I am beating on it at least, you know, 3 or 4 times out of every drive at minimum, because I'm trying to purposely test and see what the car is capable of. I know it's, like I said, I know it's not perfect. It's not going to be. It's a $2,500 kit, not a $7,000 kit or $5,000 kit. So it's not gonna be perfect. I mean, and if you go this route, it's not gonna be perfect. It's ratchet, but it's right. So where I will have failure points is the turbo itself, the manifold, the wastegate could malfunction. I mean, I have multiple things that could fail, but the car has done well so far. So, but that's the gist of the car. Of course, obviously more content's to come. The plan is to spend more time on the track with this car. It's not something I'm gonna drive to work every day. So the only real testing it's gonna get is just straight up race and beat as much as it can. Like I said, I'm stock motor, stock clutch, stock transmission. So I mean, I'm definitely putting things to their limit, but that's what I want to do. So as things break, the plan is to slowly upgrade what's already there. Eventually I'll get a better intercooler, better turbo. The plan is to eventually, obviously I'm gonna have to drop the subframe, because at some point the plan is to build the transmission, build the motor, and see what I can get out of the car. I got bored with the car while I was waiting on parts for the 350Z, and then that's where the turbo kit came from. It was boredom. My friends were like, do it, you know, you can figure it out. And so I got bored, and that's why we even did it in the first place. So thanks for watching. I know this one's kind of long, but I just wanted to kind of, you know, talk so y'all could know what I did as detailed as possible. If you have questions and want to know more about what I did, just send me a message, and I'll help you. I mean, it does not bother me. I will try to make as much time as I can. Sorry, I'm backing up. So I will help you. I'll send you measurements, pictures, whatever you need. I just do this for the fun of it, and trying to help the community out with a budget-friendly option. And I mean, you could even go this route. You could get custom or universal intercooler piping, and you could go the route of a VS racing kit. I mean, you can still build your kit, spend a little bit more money, and get a tiny bit more higher quality parts. You do not have to go straight eBay. If you're interested in doing that, I'll tell you exactly which pipes I have and which couplers I have, and you can kind of piece together your own piping, which is eventually my plan. Is to piece together just a kit and then kind of do a little bit higher end parts. The other thing I forgot to include is, one, my fog lights do not work. I do not have them. I did not care to take the time to make everything fit to a T to where I could keep fog lights and this and that. So, you know, you could modify what I did a little bit better to kind of hug everything a little tighter to where you could keep fog lights and things. Also, you will need to, any intercooler piping that you cut, you will need to create a bead. I will add that into this video right now. All right, so here's my homemade bead roller I was telling you about. So this is like some wire pliers from Harbor Freight. I think they're like $8 for the pliers herself. And you take a grinder and you cut straight across where this little like clamper spot is. And you get rid of the wire part. You get it flush with that, so you have your little horseshoe to go into. And then you just take your intercooler piping, put your rounded end on the bottom, and then you just squeeze hard as you can. It's just some, and then you guys kind of keep going around and going around. And what that does is it creates you a little bead there, to where you have a bead like what came on it, but on a side where you actually cut it. So I just do that on every single one of them and work my way around, and until you have a whole bead across the whole thing. But that's all it is. So bead roller, I think these were like $8. So I just wanted to show you all that so you can see that part as well. And then so now that you've seen that, that is how you can add a bead in the most budget friendly way possible. So I did that on every pipe that I cut, to try to give some surface contact there or some form of bead surface. Obviously, if you have a bead roller, I mean, they make them, you can get them and you can do it yourself. But I mean, this cost me 10 bucks. So as far as parts or tools and stuff go, it's hand tools. I mean, obviously an impact would be great for like the you know, the taking off brackets and things like that. But I mean, you're not going to want to run an impact down on all the hardware for the turbo and stuff. And and the couplers and things like that. You'll have to get the IAT sensor set up, and you'll have to build a downpipe. I'll attach as many links as I can for what I did buy, and then I'll post pictures in the sections of the video where I did talk about it, which I would have already done that. So anyway, I hope you liked the video. This is my first time doing something a little bit more in depth like this. This is also my first time really building something this in depth and then caring enough to share it. Normally I just kind of do my own thing. My friends have tried to convince me to kind of make the MSR performance thing a little bit bigger and get more involved with the community and stuff again. I kind of died away from the car scene, and so I'm trying to get back into that world of racing and things. So that's why this video is longer than my normal setup. So I hope you like it. I hope it makes sense. I hope I don't bore you to death. And there's, like I said, there's going to be plenty more content to come. I'm building a drift car. I'm going to try to do as much as I can with that. I've posted some videos of it in the past. This will be full competition spec. It's got the angle kits, the whole 9 yards, and then we're going to build a custom rear mount turbo kit for it too. So stay tuned for more. Hope you like it. Message me if you have questions. Comment below. Subscribe for more, and appreciate you for watching.